Napoleon Bonaparte, the legendary French general and emperor, was known for his unparalleled military genius and strategic mind on the battlefield. However, behind the scenes, his personal life was anything but orderly, filled with scandalous affairs, secretive romances, and a series of dramatic entanglements. His love life was often a reflection of his intense passion and ambition. While his military tactics conquered nations, his romantic pursuits were equally strategic and messy. Napoleon's first major romantic relationship was with Josephine de Beauharnais, whom he married in 1796. Josephine was a widow who was 6 years older than Napoleon, but despite the age difference, their relationship was initially fueled by a deep love and passion. Napoleon, fresh from his victories in Italy, was enamored by Josephine, but their marriage was marked by constant infidelities on her part. While he was away fighting in Italy and Egypt, Josephine had multiple affairs, and Napoleon was devastated when he discovered them. His heartbreak led to a series of his own affairs, but despite his liaisons with other women, he could never fully get over Josephine. In fact, after his own betrayals, Josephine became more devoted to him, which only added fuel to the fire of their turbulent relationship. As Napoleon's military career flourished, so did his appetite for affairs. One of his most famous mistresses was Pauline Forez, often referred to as Napoleon's Cleopatra. She was the wife of a junior officer when Napoleon met her in Egypt, and their relationship was both passionate and public. Pauline's husband was conveniently sent away, which allowed Napoleon and her to indulge in their romance without much scrutiny. But Pauline was far from the only woman who caught Napoleon's eye. He also became involved with Marie Walewska, a Polish noblewoman, around 1807. Their affair was politically motivated, as Napoleon was keen on securing Polish support for his empire. However, despite the political undertones, it is widely believed that Marie genuinely fell in love with Napoleon, and the two had a son together. In 1810, Napoleon married Marie-Louise of Austria, an 18-year-old archduchess, not out of love, but for a political alliance to strengthen his position in Europe. They had a son, Napoleon II, who was given the title King of Rome. Despite Marie-Louise's initial loyalty, after Napoleon's exile in 1814, she moved back to Austria and began an affair with Count Adam Neipperg, whom she later married. Napoleon's affairs were not limited to prominent figures. He also had flings with actresses, maids, and other noblewomen. Known for his taste for younger women, he often used his influence and power to pursue these romantic interests. Though many of his affairs were brief, there are accounts that suggest he fathered several illegitimate children, though much of this remains speculative. To add to the intrigue, Napoleon's letters to his lovers, particularly Josephine, were filled with passion and explicit details. One famous letter reads, "I will return in 5 days. Don't wash." His candid, often raw expressions of desire were part of his charismatic allure. Napoleon's love life, much like his reign, was chaotic, passionate, and full of intrigue. While Napoleon's political life was driven by conquest and control, his love life was often a mix of vulnerability and another mysterious woman in Napoleon's life was Albine de Montholon, the wife of General Charles Tristan, one of Napoleon's loyal officers. During his exile on the island of St. Helena, Napoleon was surrounded by a small group of trusted companions, and Albine was among them. Rumors swirled that she and Napoleon began an affair during this period of isolation. Even more scandalously, she gave birth to a child while on the island, leading many to speculate that the child was Napoleon's, not her husband's. Though there was no formal acknowledgement, the timing and circumstances left a lingering shadow over Napoleon's final years. These later life affairs reveal a man still full of desire and capable of deep emotional connection, even as his empire crumbled around him. Even in the shadow of his downfall, Napoleon's presence as a lover remained intense, complex, and often controversial. His sexual appetite and the way he wielded romantic relationships for both personal comfort and political strategy offer a glimpse into a side of him that history books often overlook. Napoleon was not a conventionally handsome man. He was short, stocky, and often described as physically unimpressive. But what he lacked in looks, he made up for with charisma, intensity, and sheer force of personality. He had an ability to make women feel important, cherished, and intoxicated by his power. Whether it was a noblewoman seeking protection, an actress chasing status, or a foreign beauty tangled in political intrigue, Napoleon had a way of making women surrender not just to the man, but to the legend. In private letters, he often oscillated between tenderness and dominance. His writings to Josephine went from poetic declarations of undying love to desperate demands for loyalty. To other lovers, he was more commanding, telling them what to wear, how to behave, and what he expected upon his return. Some accounts suggest he had voyeuristic tendencies and a preference for unwashed bodies, which sounds strange today, but it reflected the raw, unfiltered intimacy he craved. His lovers were drawn not just to his status, but to the emotional chaos he brought into their lives. Some adored it, others barely survived it. In the end, even as he faded from power, exiled and dying in isolation, Napoleon's legacy as a passionate, obsessive, and cunning lover endured. His affairs were not mere footnotes. They were extensions of the man himself, unpredictable, ambitious, and forever chasing greatness, both in war and in love. As history peels back the layers of Napoleon Bonaparte's larger-than-life persona, what emerges is a man whose romantic pursuits were often as controversial as his conquests. Beyond the well-documented relationships and official mistresses, there exists a swirl of rumors, hush-hush affairs, and whispered scandals that followed Napoleon like a shadow. French court gossip, personal servants, and even foreign spies circulated stories about his off-the-books romances. Liaisons that never made it into the official archives, but lived on through memoirs and scandal sheets of the time. There were whispers of trysts with ballerinas, chambermaids, and even wives of powerful allies and enemies, all of whom were said to have fallen under his magnetic spell. One particularly juicy rumor involved a young Parisian actress, whose name has been lost to history, but was allegedly kept in a lavish apartment, paid for in secret by Napoleon's treasury. She was said to entertain him late into the night, providing a kind of theatrical intimacy that Josephine could no longer offer. Another persistent claim revolves around a young Spanish noblewoman during the Peninsular War, with whom Napoleon reportedly had a fleeting, passionate affair while stationed in Madrid. Letters referencing a dark-eyed enchantress have been found among his personal correspondences, although her identity was never confirmed. Some stories suggest that Napoleon even had flirtations with women of royal blood from other European courts, offers of private diplomacy, so to speak. Though most of these women were untouchable in public, a few are believed to have exchanged secret letters, portraits, and perhaps even arranged meetings with the emperor. His seduction was not just physical, it was intellectual and symbolic.